Let's get it on.
Get it on.
It must be quite apparent by this time to any thinking individual that the people of our country and people of other countries all over the world are coming to face a moment of grave decision. A time when we will choose the course of our future.
Oklahoma, Texas, New York, Philadelphia, around the world, it's gonna be a big nut bust.
The Millennial Media Offensive podcast is now live.
That's right. You're listening to MMO number 226. Today is July 7th, 2026, and from the great city and state of St. Louis, Missouri, I'm Dan Gehring.
And from America's South Coast, where we celebrate 250 Independence Day, I'm John G. Dew.
That's right. Happy 250. Happy 250 years to all the people in the struggle, all the Americans. And I'm talking about the real Americans, not those fake Americans.
Yes, defining real American has been quite the topic lately, at least in my algorithmic sphere.
Same.
I figure we are prime audience for that message, but we can get there. How was your Independence Day? How did you experience this American holiday?
It was pretty good. My in-laws had some people in town. My wife's aunts and uncles, and they were all meeting at their house. So Friday I had off of work. That was the Independence Day observed. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, after the kids' first nap, we went over there and stayed till bedtime. So lots of fun.
Which is about 6:30?
Yeah, we have to leave there around 6:15 to get home for the bedtime routine. My life is a circus. A very well-timed circus.
I don't know if you've ever been to a circus, but they're all well-timed. That is a cornerstone of a circus is good timing.
My life is a circus. Without the elephant.
Very good. Yes, without the elephants.
How was your 4th?
At least when you're well, there's no elephants.
True.
It was good. We went to the local reservoir and went out on the water. My brother-in-law's boat. Watched the fireworks from said reservoir, and the next day we went to the local river and spent the day on the in-laws' sandbar.
Oh boy!
Property on the river, and let the kids play and splash around and do all the things kids do on the river. I did most of those as well.
Skip
I like
rocks.
the river, and you can skip those pretty well if you can bring yourself to let it go and not keep it. I like to sit. Especially watching the kids, I like to sit where I'm about neck deep in the water, just sit on the bottom and keep an eye on them, keep them from getting too deep age they're at. But I like to sit and sift through the sand as I'm sitting there, pulling things up out of the riverbed.
Sure.
And I found a clam in the river, probably larger than a baseball. I had never found a clam that size in the river. And that's just one of the kind of things that just make my day, finding things like that.
I like that too.
Good Independence Day.
Yeah, I like that too.
Clam finding.
There was a dead squirrel in my front yard, and it must have been there for weeks, and I just hadn't noticed it.
And Ralph didn't notice it?
Well, it's our front yard, so he stays in our backyard pretty much, but poor little guy, I don't know what happened to him, but it's like one of those things. I took a photo of it. I'm like, neat. That's a little dead creature.
Okay. You take a picture of anything that you come across that is deceased?
It depends. It was the way it was deceased, because it's been there for like 10 days, so it's like flat and leathery,
Oh.
Yeah,
and you wanted a picture.
Got cooked in the sun. Yeah, just kind of like...
Okay, so my second gripe is you didn't send me the picture?
I'll send it to you now. It's hard to see. You got to really zoom in
great.
on that. Yeah. But no, I get what you mean with that stuff. So I grew up on a small lake. My parents live on a small lake in Wisconsin, and one summer I was really bored and I didn't have a job. I think it was like 10 or 11, and I took a crowbar from the boathouse, and I found every large boulder I could within probably a 500-foot radius of our pier, and I built a big stack of rocks. And these guys kick over, you building a fish bed? I'm like, nope, just stacking rocks under the water. And it's still there to this day. This mystery pile of rocks that someday someone will forget the story too and come across and think, I wonder who did this.
Yes, as you can see here, this ancient native fish trap. No, ma'am, that was just a German.
There was just a bored 11-year-old day, just having fun. It's amazing what you do when you're bored.
Very good. Very good. Yes, we had an interesting run-in on the river that maybe I'll tell you about offline after it blows over. I'm not sure I want to just kind of discuss it yet.
Sure.
But maybe a tease for a later show, a river story for a later show. Do you like being on rivers? Do you like riding, fishing rivers?
Yeah.
You have much river in experience?
Well, I do live along one of the largest rivers in the United States, but I do enjoy rivers. Floating in rivers.
The Mississippi's a different animal, though.
Yeah, I would not float down the Mississippi River, but yeah, river floats are big in Missouri.
Oh, look, a barge. Oh, look, I'm in the barge.
Kinda, yeah, and the water's poop color. It's so brown you can't tell. That's why they call it the Big Muddy.
Big Muddy.
That's right.
Right.
So yeah, float trips are a lot of fun. I like just general river activities. A spot where there's a rope swing.
Oh yes,
one of those. We should do an MMO float trip sometime.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Get everyone here and we drive southern Missouri, float down a river, camp out. Yeah, I'm for it. Someone set it up. I'll show up.
Yes, of course. Well, very good. What are your takeaways from the 200? We haven't already talked about them on the show, but yeah, what were your impressions of the anniversary of the Declaration?
Well, I really wake up. I think people believe that they wake up and then just rotate elites around a little bit. But it comes at a time where I think people are starting to realize that the system, the two-party kind of system that we're in, isn't really working. It's time. It wasn't tense, with the family at all, but tense nationwide. I think everyone is kind of like on edge. I was wrong. I predicted that there would be mass protests on the 4th of July. I didn't hear a peep about any of them, so I think you win that one. But
yes, I was skeptical of your prediction there.
Yep. But yeah, I don't really. It really just passed as to me just another 4th of July. But at a time, when it feels like people are a little bit more pensive.
You were wrong. Don't get me wrong. You were wrong. you were wrong. But there was a demonstration. I don't know if you saw this, but and some would call it a more like a demonstration. But there was a demonstration at the Washington Mall by Patriot Front.
Mm-hmm.
And this spurred a lot of discussion online, at least in the places that I'm exposed to online. It spurred a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth, a lot of sparring, a lot of infighting on the quote-unquote right, which you'd be hard-pressed to define, I think, today, to your point about people realizing that something's not working. But I have some clips about this Patriot Front demonstration.
Okay.
And we will start with CNN, Patriot Front setup, and this is going to feature a fellow, a historian named Roswell Insignia.
Interesting name.
This weekend, in the midst of the country's 250th birthday festivities, a stark and disturbing display emerged from our nation's capital on Saturday when masked members of the white supremacist group, the Patriot Front, marched through Washington, D.C., carrying Confederate flags and shouting slogans like, quote, "Reclaim America." One photographer captured this stunning, now viral photo of a young black woman sitting on a Metro car while the masked men surround her.
Hold on.
Joining our panel now is Roswell.
Let's discuss this photo. And I don't know if you
I can pull it up on the stream.
Dexterity to pull it up.
Yeah, I can.
But this photo it's not what the left wanted it to be. On its face, it is. But to anyone who's online and not just glued to CNN and MS Now, this didn't turn out to be what the left wanted, because you have this emergence of a video of the same woman in the absence of Patriot Front, and shall I say it was stark and disturbing.
Yeah, the woman's a crackhead, and she had her like she was like pissing on the train. She had her pants down and everything, and it's like clearly the same woman, and like, same shirt and everything. Minutes before Patriot Front gets on, and yeah, it's supposed to be this like, this is America, 250 years in. These white nationalists and this brave modern day Rosa Parks sitting there on the train.
Well, okay, this is funny. It's a funny topic, but I want to take it a little more, take it with a little more of a philosophical bend for a second. There's this idea of what constitutes rights in our modern society, and I think we would do well to think deeply about how our political enemies, at least, maybe I'm being generous, our political enemies consider the concept of rights. Because I think I can generalize and say you and I think about rights in terms of, I don't want to be unfairly disadvantaged, and I want to have the right to act freely so long as I'm not overtly harming someone else.
Right.
That's a very, very wide generalization, but I want to have the freedom to master my own space without harming someone else.
Yeah, swing your fist, don't hit him in the face.
Okay. That can definitely be expanded upon a much more in-depth conversation, but generally, that's the way we think about our rights, okay? There is an understanding of rights within the left, and more specifically, when thinking about black people in America, and I think this comes from the academic sphere of individual rights and power dynamics, because the way they think about power, we know this, we've discussed this before, is that if you don't have historical societal power, then you can't exert power over others, even as an individual. Therefore, you can't be racist, you can't oppress, you can't disadvantage anyone else. This is why they say black people can't be racist.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people are prone, especially boomers, are prone to just scoff at this and not think about it. But this is actually what they believe, and we have lobbied here for a long time of, you need to actually be thinking about what these people believe, because one surefire way to be defeated by an enemy, political or otherwise, is to not understand what they believe. So
it's like your aunt's asking you, "Where'd you hear that, Fox News?" And you haven't watched Fox News ever in your life, but she assumes immediately you must be getting all of your information from Fox News.
So the easiest way to put this is the conception for African American rights is not the freedom to act if you choose to act. it's the freedom to act, the freedom to feel comfortable when acting. A core component, a core aspect that I've always acknowledged, and I think you would say that you have too, and I think a lot of people who think about rights in the classical way would acknowledge, is I have the right to do something, but I don't have the right to be exempt from the consequences of that action, whether it be embarrassment or discrimination or exclusion from things. If I choose to act freely, there's the chance that others can freely choose to react to that in a way that I don't appreciate, or that harms me. The way that the left generally thinks about African American rights is that they not only need the right to act freely, which they have, but they require the right to act freely without judgment and without self-doubt. So, this picture encapsulates their reaction to this picture. I assume you've got it up now. Really encapsulates that idea of how they think about rights. The fact that she wasn't comfortable doing the things that she had done in the past, which we know about because of social media, means that she is oppressed.
Yeah, you don't think that's the angle that they're taking with this?
No, it's the underlying ideology. They're definitely taking a narrative slant toward this. But that is the underpinning logic of why this is a troublesome image. She doesn't feel comfortable being herself, and that's why she's oppressed. We have to accommodate her sensibilities. Everyone else has to accommodate her sensibilities. That's why you can have a Michael Jackson impersonator who makes everyone on a subway train, uncomfortable. And the moment someone reacts in the defense of everyone else, it's a problem. Because he was only being free. He was only being free.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of sense too, like the inappropriate response to seeing these people on the train for a lot on the left would be, you would have the right to punch them, to hit them, to hurt them, attack them.
Because their presence is oppressive.
Right.
That is the underpinning logic. And I would love to hear a counter argument to this, but the follow-on logic of that is you can't negotiate with people that believe that. They are inherently curtailing your rights for the sentiments of others.
Yes,
and that you can't negotiate with that.
And it comes down upon the lines of liberty versus justice. Liberty and justice. The left has always been the justice party, whatever, perverted interpretation of justice they hold. And the right's always been more associated with liberty. And I'm not saying it's 100% modeling there, but that's kind of the main political divide in America currently, is this liberty versus justice. And, the argument that this would have been bad had she been beat up, right? Then you would have had a story there, or had been harassed. But neither of those things happened. She was able to sit on a train and go to her destination completely unharmed.
But it was an injustice that she wasn't able to drag her behind on the train like a dog with a dingleberry.
Yes.
I mean, that's the only way I can rationalize their conception of rights. And that's the only way that you can logically explain their conception of rights and the arguments that flow from that conception. Because it's easy to say, well, they're not logical. Okay, you've jumped the shark at that point. If they're not logical, then there is no answer, no civic answer to the problem. And I don't think it's wise to jump the shark. If you end up getting to that answer, but you've given the benefit of the doubt to the maximum degree until you get there, you have less of a chance of being demonized with trying to, let's just say, retake your country, retake your community, whatever it may be, and you've done the right thing. You can have, there's very little opportunity for you to feel guilt about jumping to that conclusion and being unjust yourself if you give people the benefit of the doubt. And giving them the benefit of the doubt means you try to understand how they're looking at things. And this is the conclusion that I've come to, and others have come to too. I don't have any of the references handy to provide any additional reading, but I can try to put some in the show notes that explore this line of thinking. But basically, it is their understanding of rights for minorities in a society not only include the right to act freely, but the right to act freely without feeling uncomfortable, without being made uncomfortable.
That's the mainstream media's position on this issue.
I don't think many of them are smart enough to really tell you that. But yes, it is the ideology they have adopted. It's the underpinnings of the ideology. It's like, can your average communist explain Marx and his works? No.
They can wear a T-shirt of Che Guevara, though.
Exactly. They can stand in front of a microphone and talk to the American people about how these men standing there, not even looking at this woman, are oppressing her.
It is so not bananas and rice.
So, shall we continue?
Let's do it.
And Sina, who was also photographed riding the metro next to Patriot Front members over the weekend. Roswell, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Casey.
Can you take us inside? I mean, I think when we see that photo, it's silent. You see these people standing in their masks. You see this woman sitting there. What was it like to sit on a train car like that?
It was very unsettling, as you can imagine, very uncomfortable. You know, I was heading towards Maryland to
Bingo.
the New Carrollton station. If you live in Washington, that's the last stop on the line. It was full of just normal tourists and families from Washington, all in red, white, and blue, ready to go to the mall or get off at Capitol South by the Capitol. When they emptied out, I realized, that was fun. It was nice seeing parents with their kids and babies just celebrating the 4th of July. Then after they left, the car pretty much emptied up. At the next stop, I saw this mass amount of men in masks and hats and sunglasses, and it was very unnerving. I probably kind of froze there when they were all kind of boarding, not knowing what was happening, and I had no idea who they were, so I was naturally nervous when a big group of unidentified people walk in.
Wow. That's kind of like the right-wing stance on immigration.
That's an interesting point.
These unidentified people are just walking into our country.
You don't know what they believe.
You don't know
what they stand for.
Exactly.
Who are they? They all look the same.
This is last week there was I can't even remember the context of it, but very similar issue where somebody on the left said something along those lines, and it was like, makes you think.
I'm not sure. I can't remember it.
Oh, you didn't have much interest in it. It was the gay fella. I was kind of quoting an article where the gay fella no longer wanted to be a part of the queer community. They just wanted to be gay and have their own thing.
Yes, I do recall. Okay, this guy's name is interesting. Roswell, I call it Insignia. She had a little spin on it, but this is...
oddly, that's
alien sign.
That sounds like a Roswell insignia. Sounds like a Patriot Front Force Substack writer.
Yes, a brigade within Patriot Front.
Yeah.
Here come the Roswell insignia.
Oh,
Hurrah!
boy. This branch is awful.
Okay, Roswell 2.
Here we go.
And you ended up in some photographs taken by a Getty Images photographer. What did it say to you that there was a photographer there?
That's when it alarmed me. This is something, you know. But the photographer also gave me some comfort, knowing that somebody was there with a camera, just in case something happens, because I was realizing if anything happens, I won't be able to identify any of them because they're all dressed the same. So it made me realize to start paying attention. What are they wearing? What's on their hats? What's on their shirts? Just to give me an educated idea who they were. And I was texting some friends, you know, this is happening. I just want you to be aware that I'm in the middle of a metro by myself. So if anything happens, you know what's happening.
Do you have any thought as you're on the train as to who they might be? Like what's, you know, I know you said you didn't know who they were, but what were you speculating when you see a bunch of white guys with masks and hats?
I mean, clearly they needed to cover their faces for a reason, right?
My mind immediately went to that they were white supremacists. So, and you know, I work for the U.S. Capitol Historical Society. So my first thing is, I need to remember this and try to document of what's happening. I'm not comparing myself clearly to real American heroes like Rosa Parks and folks who sat in at, you know, at diners in the 50s and 60s, but I knew this was a moment that I have to kind of be present, turn off whatever I was listening to.
We definitely will be talking about this 20 years from now and not forget about it in a week.
On my earbuds and make sure I was aware of what was happening.
I'm sure their presence was unsettling, but how did they behave on the train, and what sort of sense did you get from them on the car?
They were surprisingly very civil and very organized. They were just chatting among themselves like any other people who were sitting or traveling using the metro. You know, just from what I could hear, many of them didn't even know each other. I could hear them introducing themselves to one another with their full names and asking where they're from and, you know, how they're doing. So.
True sign of a bigot.
Yeah. They were very civil. They asked me how my 4th was going. They asked me, you know, are you American?
Not one of them was having a conversation on speakerphone.
They all used indoor voices and said please and thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I was terrified.
I was horrified. It's like, I must document this horrible action of people wearing masks. I can't, they all dress the same. They have to hide their face for some reason, right? Yeah. Because people feel they need to document groups of guys when they get together.
More on that later. First, let's hear the CNN report on the administration's response to this.
Brad Todd, were you surprised by how the administration responded to this? In fact, before I ask you that, let me play what Doug Burgum, the Interior Secretary, had to say to our colleague Dana Bash here on CNN on Sunday. Let's watch that.
One of the foundational principles of the United States, which makes democracy messy, is free speech. And there are plenty of things that I see that I might personally find offensive, irreprehensible. But in America, free speech is allowed, and this is by the whole spectrum of things.
Will you recommend to the president that he condemn this group?
And part of my response to that is that there are protests on the mall that people say things that I think are irreprehensible about President Trump, and yet they're allowed to go on because of free speech in our country.
Brad?
It's easy to condemn them, and I would condemn them instantly. And I think, but the rest of his comments are right. And if you live in Washington, D.C., as we all do, you know, the metro on any given day is full of fruits and nuts who are coming here really angry about something. I remember taking my kids to an inaugural in 2017. They were quite small. I just wanted them to experience history. And as you remember that day, there were more protesters probably downtown than there were supporters of the president. And they were very angry and they were very profane. And they were frankly, it was not appropriate, some of the things they were saying. I remember thinking this is really a bad parenting moment for me to have had my kids out in this mess. And so I don't think it's unusual for people to come to Washington to say controversial things. And I condemn these guys, and I condemn what they think and what they say. But that is part of a free society, is to have this open public square where you can come and say things that other people are going to find reprehensible.
Yeah. If this is one guy wearing a mask, glasses, and a hat, and carrying a flag, there's no story here. But because there's a group of them, that's when it's scary. They're organized.
Yes, isn't that scary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to your point a second ago, let's listen to CNN pull a clip from The View to get a point across about anonymity.
So on your point about an open public square, I want to play this moment from The View earlier today, because one thing about free speech, of course, is that, yes, you put your face out there, you say what you have to say. These people did not. Let's watch this moment that includes one of our CNN colleagues, Alyssa Farah.
Hold on. There's absolutely no requirement for identifying yourself and doing free speech. You can anonymously speak.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
That, for me, was a defining image of modern America for Black Americans. As a Black woman, I'm sitting there in my country, and that's the type of fear I have to experience.
And by the way, show your face. I'm not one to call names, but these losers need to take off their masks, their little old man khakis. Show your face if you're going to be a bigot.
Show your face if you're going to be a bigot.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll agree it's their free speech right to cover their face, and sometimes the law allows you to cover your face, but it's an act of cowardice. These people are cowards, and we ought to say that. Agree.
Just like using pseudonyms on social media or newspaper comments, you shouldn't do that either. You should use your own name.
No egg for a profile photo. Put your face out there and be on it. No, I just, no, absolutely. So it is what it is.
So,
yeah,
I would like to point out
New
that
rules.
anyone...
We don't like the way you're doing free speech, so you have to show your face and use your real name.
Right, exactly.
Nothing bad will happen, trust me.
Yeah, trust me. Anyone who insists that you use your real name in expressing your views is explicitly reserving the right to use slander against you if they disagree.
Of course. And that's how it all works. Is as soon as these guys' names and faces are recognized, there's a group of people, anonymous people online, nameless, faceless people that will track them down, find them on LinkedIn, and report them to their place of work.
You mean like Data Republican?
Yeah. Sort of.
She took up the mantle of doxing everyone who was in Patriot Front and had any kind of relation to congressional staff.
Isn't she like retarded and deaf? I think she claimed autism.
More evidence to the former with this stunt, but yes, she is deaf. I know that for a fact.
Oh. This is Lucy. She's playing with the microphone now. I'm father casting tonight.
Father casting.
Yep.
Okay. Well, very good. That is the extent of my Patriot Front coverage. I would encourage you to go listen to the leader of the Patriot Front's speech from the Washington Mall and let us know where you agree or disagree with that speech. Just want to take an informal poll of sentiments. Another point on anonymity, though. Anonymity was a central tenet in the run-up to the American Revolution. So it's highly ironic to condemn anonymity on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, the Sons of Liberty, who, most of which you probably don't even know their names, or know very few people do, they dressed up like Native Americans and threw tea in the Boston Harbor. That was like, not only was that anonymity, there was active masking of who was doing it.
Absolutely.
So, Yeah, I don't know. It is very much like the girl on the playground. Can I play? Sure. Well, we don't like the way that you're playing, so here's some new rules. You got you got to absolutely dox yourself. If you're going to do anything that might go against the grain of what we consider okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. You want to? Well, what do you want to talk about this evening? That was an easy lead in with the America 250 anniversary. What would you like to talk about tonight, Dan?
Well, I do have quite a few different U.S. based clips, which is interesting. But I think one that's unique and kind of so I've been reading a book called what is it called? I read a Kindle, so you don't see the cover as often as you do with a normal book. But it's called The Populist Delusion. And it's quite good, and it really talks about it takes the mask off of a lot of politics, and somebody has having a mask off moment for one reason or another right now is Graham Plattner. So I'll play this clip and then give you my thoughts on it.
We start with breaking news that could impact the midterm elections. Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner is facing new accusations of sexual assault. Politico reports that a woman Plattner dated claims he forced her to have sex against her will. In an interview with CNN's Jake Tapper, the accuser says Plattner came over to her house uninvited in 2021 and then forced himself on her despite her objections.
Heavily intoxicated, and that blank stare was kind of like a photographic memory that I still have of that night. And that was me recognizing what the situation was. And this wasn't just like, oh, hey, somebody showed up and I'm going to tell him to go home. He was heavily intoxicated, had intentions with me, and wasn't listening. And I said, no.
Plattner denies the report and says he is taking time to decide what comes next.
Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false, regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict. We are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins.
All right, let's go right to Aaron Zittner. He is a reporter and editor in the Wall Street Journal's Washington Bureau. Aaron, thanks for joining us. Let's talk about this. Plattner has dealt with a number of controversies, everything from a Nazi-linked tattoo to sexual misconduct allegations. Now this, can he salvage his campaign?
Well, I don't know the future, but I have to say it seems unlikely. You have three big problems. The first being that
I don't really care about the problems. We could play it if you'd like. But effectively, the idea of putting up Graham Plattner was to replace Susan Collins. Susan Collins is already a rhino, okay? But Maine is a very conservative state, so they pick this guy, thinking, oh, he's pretty much a Nazi. They'll love him, but he's a Nazi communist. Graham Plattner is one of those guys that doesn't believe in anything. But he'll go to Washington and instantly join up with whatever his party wants him to vote for. Yeah, those people disgust me too, baby girl. And so I think it's interesting that 2 weeks before he's going to be set in stone as the candidate, they yank him. And I think it's a tactic of saying the old bait and switch. They're going to try to weave somebody else in there. That makes sense? You follow me?
Yeah, I can see that. They have been trying to get rid of this guy, though, and I don't know if the previous attacks were from the opposition, with the recent attacks being from his own party, realizing that enough is enough, and we can make these stick if we want to make them stick, and what's better than the old rape allegation? Yeah,
that's the best one. So everyone was sticking with them. I think Stephen King, famed liberal author, Stephen King came out and defended him at first, and now everyone is turning ship on him because the memo went out at Democrat HQ that this guy's got to go. He's no good. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, this is this kind of populist delusion in a nutshell, is they picked this guy who is picked to be to appeal to a more right-wing market, right, Maine, but also just be a voting piece and a talking head for the left. And that's all that all of this politics is this new populist movement where these people will fall in line with the elites that already exist. There's no changing what's going to happen, but he's just there to appeal to people.
She's already got it down.
Oh yeah, she's got
that's
three.
That's all you have to do is just. Blah, 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 blah.
She's got 3 fingers, and she does this really cute where she go across her lips like that, and she just loves making that sound.
It's a good sound.
Yeah. So I'm a little.
Well, I mean, I think
hamstrung.
you're right about this. I hadn't really been paying attention to Mr. Plantner, but what you're saying tracks. I mean, what's the larger implication here? Have you thought about what this means for what the Democrats are trying? Do you think it's specific to Maine that they're attempting this? Does it give us any insight into a more national policy or even regional policy?
I don't know. I think they had him in there long enough so he could run the negative campaigns about Susan Collins just being this MAGA-tard supporting the war in Israel. I don't know if she did, but just all these different talking points that they can have. He's the bad guy, and then they can switch him out with like a democratic socialist or something. You are going to be a star, baby girl. I can already tell.
It doesn't bother me at all, but if you need to or want to take a break, you can.
I'm good. I've only got a couple more minutes with this one.
Okay. All right, and then we get the other one.
Nope. That's me throwing a large hunting knife that she was just reaching for on the ground.
Yeah, don't reach for that.
That's right.
Well, close to New York, I have a clip about some instability. Not New York, close to Maine, I have a clip about some instability in New York. So in the New York folder,
sure,
I have a former Pfizer building clip.
Here we go.
Emergency crews are on the scene of an unstable building. This is all happening on East 42nd Street near Grand Central Terminal in Midtown Manhattan. Here's what we know. Firefighters responded to a call about bricks falling from a former office building that is being converted into luxury rental units. Construction workers say at least 2 structural support beams have begun to buckle. You can see the beams here. They're on the 21st floor. They appear there to be bent, and that is what's sparking concerns of a possible collapse. Take a listen to the call between first responders.
We're operating in 235 East 42. This building is a 34-story, 75 by 100 construction. We have columns partially down on 21 and 22, and we have floors sagging between 21 and 26.
Right now, we are awaiting an update from the area have been evacuated.
Well, usually it takes a couple of decades for the communists to let the infrastructure crumble. This happened rather fast.
That's a funny comment. I had been trying to think of a way to weave in the fact that Mondami's a communist with this, and you did it perfectly. Thank you.
Perfect. Hey, while we're in the state of this, you just got crispy.
Oh, okay.
You want to come back? So while I'm sitting here, I have a wrist rest, and my daughter has picked it up. She's slamming it. Now she's trying to do the mouth noise thing.
I can't hear you. Hold on.
She's trying to do the mouth noise thing with my rest pad. She's picked it up and she's enthralled with it. It's her smacking it against the table. It's a good day. Can you still not hear me?
I hear you now, but you're not coming through my headphones.
Oh.
Dang headphones.
I barely know how to work this computer. Lucy, come on, girl. Why not? Let's add some dog in here. This is a disaster. Let's why don't we just get the neighbor to mow his lawn right out my window right now, huh?
Okay, I can hear you now.
In your headphones?
In my headphones.
Okay. So you were just saying about the communist comment.
Yes, I'd been trying to think of a way to work in the fact that Mondami's a communist and the infrastructure
This weekend,
is
in the midst of the
crumbling,
country's 250th.
You did it perfectly. Did you mean to play that?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Yeah. Squirmy Baby did.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like me to do take 3 on
No,
the
you're
comment?
good. You're good. Let's just keep rolling.
Okay. Did you put a marker down at least?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
So
well, this was a former Pfizer building. I read conflicting reports that Pfizer had sold it to be developed into residential complexes and that they still owned it. I think they sold it. There's definitely not any Pfizer infrastructure or documents still in the building, so I don't think there's any foul play in that regard. I think what you've likely got going on here is maybe an insurance harvest. You buy the building, the residential project isn't going to work. You know it's not going to work. So you overload it when re-engineering it without expressly overloading it. Oh, it crumbles, and now we need our insurance payout. Thank you very much.
it's better than the last time that was tried, some 25 years ago in September, if you remember.
Yes, I picked up what you were saying the first time.
That's right. All right, hold on. I got to take care of this for a second.
Take care of your child.
BRB.
Well, how's everybody doing out there? Did everybody have a good Independence Day? It's Independence Day, by the way. It is not July the 4th. It's Independence Day. It happens to be on July the 4th. It's not because of the date, July 4th. So the holiday's not July 4th. It is Independence Day. It signifies our declaration of independence from Great Britain.
From the tyrant King George, of course.
Who was probably an all right guy, but, you know, circumstances being what they were, it just wasn't working out.
Yeah, it is interesting. The George Washington tried everything, tried his damnedest to be a part of Britain, just have representation.
Oh, did you go watch Young Washington?
I haven't. I heard good things. I heard good review from Hannah, the one-wheeling millennial, the Smoky Okie.
Oh, very good.
Yep. We're back, baby free.
Kind of bittersweet.
I know. It was cute.
They're fun no matter what you're doing. If you can't have fun with your kids and you, I don't know what you're doing wrong, but you're doing something wrong.
Elise the other day was like, "Can you make me an espresso?" I said, "Sure." And I put it on a placemat, and they're doing, lunchtime. In their baby seats. And Teddy just reaches over for the placemat instantly and douses an espresso all over my wife's lap. I was like, I'll get the paper towel. Yeah, you just kind of go with the flow. All right, so buildings are crumbling in New York. Democrats want to run Nazis in Maine. What other U.S. related stuff do I have here? Oh, the Memphis National Guard. This could be a flashpoint. Could be a flashpoint in the South. Would you consider Tennessee the South?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, anyway, Memphis could be the next spark point for protests. I don't think it will be, but here's an interesting thing.
Okay, I'm going to be on a special detail frequency citywide task force.
According to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Sunday morning, 20-year-old Tyron Johnson was shot and killed by 2 Tennessee National Guard soldiers assigned to the Memphis Safe Task Force. TBI says it started with a shots fired call. Ryan Weaver, producer at Action News 5, also lives near Ida B. Wells in Union. He says he heard the initial shots.
3:45, 3:50 in the morning, I heard about 2 or 3 shots.
Then he heard and saw more.
A little bit after that, I heard, I would probably say about maybe 8 to 12 more shots. So look out my bedroom window again, and then I see a bunch of National Guard troops running through the parking lot towards Union Avenue.
Johnson's family is reeling from his unexpected death. Terrence Pope says Johnson was like a son.
Killing him, it messed everybody up. He was number 20 years old. I haven't even started living this life yet.
Johnson was a new dad, moved to Nashville, and came to Memphis for the weekend.
I couldn't do nothing but think about, we just went to Chicago and got your baby. And like now his baby got to grow up without him.
As the investigation continues, questions surround what led to the National Guard shooting Johnson. Look at these reports. Memphis police say Johnson turned toward the National Guard with a gun. Hours later, the National Guard says soldiers responded to a shots fired call involving an armed male. Then later, the TBI says that portion of the incident is under investigation.
I don't know what's true or not, so I can't speak on it.
Pope says Johnson was not violent and questions the Memphis Safe Task Force. The White House and Governor Bill Lee's office did not respond to a request for comment.
All I can say is, if y'all gonna fight against the violent criminals, get the violent ones for real, not the ones y'all think violent, because the people y'all think violent might not be violent.
Wait, he's a criminal though?
According to that logic, that guy. I don't think he.
I know.
He's not very. So, anyway, kid, 20 years old, hadn't even started living his life yet, according to that fellow. And
apparently, he had a kid and a gun.
They just went up to Chicago to get his kid.
That's all I've achieved in life is a kid and a gun.
Well, you need to have more guns.
And kids.
Yeah. So yeah, he has a gun. He's got a kid. He just got a kid. He just got the kid. They went up to Chicago and got him.
Yes, I'm aware. So it was a miscommunication on the Stork's part.
Right. Oh, you're in Memphis. We got the kid in Chicago for you. Anyway. Anyway, like most new fathers, he was out with a gun.
A mistake anyone could make.
Pretty much. Most new fathers out on the streets of Memphis at 4 a.m. With a gun, shooting shots, and got shot and killed by the National Guard. So, but we don't know what's true.
Yeah, you've got those guys in the Tennessee state representation that will really jump on this. You know, one of them's Afro Man himself.
Well, there's Afro Man, but who's the guy who shut down Congress? Remember that?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Okay. Tennessee congressman. Wasn't he suspended or something?
Justin Pearson.
That's it.
I'm sorry. Justin J. Pearson.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this thing has legs. I think it's pretty apparent that the kid was up to no good, but he's dead now. So we can see how that story twists and manifests itself before the actual truth comes out 5 years later.
You know, there's another story in Mississippi going on right now about a dead black teenager, and he was on Horn Island on the Gulf Coast this weekend and went missing. 18 years old, went missing, and now the narrative, especially the social media narrative, is he was the only black person on Horn Island.
Oh yeah.
And you know what that means.
Yep. I saw it. He was taken out because of the racism.
Yep. Island lynching.
Yeah, one of the headlines from this. Oh, this is from Justin J. Peterson, Democrat Memphis, on this case that we were just talking about, not the Knob Island or whatever. But from Memphis, the reason I've been against the occupation in Memphis since day one was because we knew this would happen, says Representative Justin J. Pearson, defender of criminals running around with guns at 4 a.m. on holidays.
Yes, and that's not us calling him a criminal. That's his person who was like a father.
Right. Ugh. It's just like, we knew this would happen. Yes. You knew that if there were people in the area enforcing the law and not understaffed police officers, that eventually people running around with guns would get clapped, because that's what happens when you live by the gun. Sorry. So I don't know. I just thought that was something that could potentially, they could try to spin up as a before midterms type thing, but I don't know if it has legs, because quite clearly this guy was in the wrong 100%.
Well, I don't think it's about elections. I think it's about withdrawing the National Guard the same way that the administration withdrew from Minneapolis for a time.
It's the Tennessee National Guard. The government is allowing.
You know that the governor is doing this because he believes Trump is backing him up, and the moment that he thinks Trump would be okay with it, he'll remove the National Guard. Tennessee's governor does not have the stones to deploy the National Guard on his own account.
Sure.
I'm sorry to break it to you.
Yep. Use Trump as the cover. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'd probably just come and go. There's too much excitement. Too many, embarrassing Team USA games to laugh at.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
No.
Well, I've got a clip from the media, about the media, in the media folder, funny enough. And this is about the Supreme Court, and this came out after that is NPR, and the activist reporter of Nina Totenberg, who has been working at NPR for some time, covering the Supreme Court. I have the All Things Considered episode segment where she apologizes for a bit of an incorrect statement.
A bit.
reporting from the Supreme Court. This is Nina Totenberg.
Of you.
Hi.
We're here because we want to take some time to acknowledge an error we made today. We reported that Justice Samuel Alito is retiring. He's not. Nina, tell us what happened.
Minutes, and it's entirely on me. It's not anybody else's fault. And I've written to Justice Alito to apologize, and I thought...
What happened, and exactly what she told Alito?
I apologize for today's error.
Oh, Juliet.
Dear Justice Alito,
adequately apologize for today's error in reporting your retirement. It was entirely my fault. I rushed out of the courtroom after the opinion announcements, and when I realized that the usual rush of folks after a few minutes had not happened, I asked somebody what was going on inside, to which the answer was retirement announcements. I didn't hear the S on announcements and assumed something no reporter should. More than 50 years in journalism, I could go on, but I don't know what else to say except that I am so sorry, and I am eternally. This was a rookie mistake.
Have you heard back from the justice?
No, but I didn't expect to hear back from him.
Yes, that is one of the lamest excuses for reporting this story. Old curmudgeon-y.
Pretty much.
Always been a hack.
That's right. She's old.
Yes. Well, I have the rest of NPR placing a hand on her shoulder and telling her, it's okay, Nina. We're all in this together.
Tommy, I'm going to bring you in as well because I'm going to slightly disagree with Nina just a little bit. We have systems in place to make sure a mistake like this doesn't make it to air. This doesn't entirely land on one person. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, and Nina was incredibly gracious there, but the truth is, it's as editor-in-chief, I feel ultimate responsibility for anything that NPR is reporting. We do have systems in place. We are trying to be a nimble news organization during breaking news and still be correct at all times. But I think most importantly, we need to be honest with our audience and honest with the listeners that when we make a mistake, we own up to it and we own it. Like Nina.
And I've seen people make big mistakes because they weren't sitting in the courtroom. And I knew we had a special, and I left early, and that is also on me. You should the network and Tommy to get me off the hook, but there's no getting me off the hook.
In the meantime, we will all continue reporting the news. We will do our best to get it right. When we don't get it right, we'll tell why get it right, and we will move forward, and we'll continue covering these interesting Supreme Court decisions tomorrow in Morning Edition on All Things Considered, and so on. That is NPR's editor-in-chief, Thomas Evans, and legal affairs correspondent, Nina Totenberg. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Little outro there. I love it. Yeah. What's interesting about that is you can clearly tell that she is pretty much self-slapping herself in the face, saying, this is my punishment. Utmost responsibility here. Firing me would be wrong in this case because I've owned up to my mistake.
No, I think this is something different. I think this is activism. I think this is NPR being given. They fake leak it through their activist court reporter, Nina Totenberg, to try to force the justice into not resigning yet.
Waiting until after midterms or something. So the new justice has to be grilled by an unfriendly Congress.
I think so.
With any luck, Trump will pick another great pick, like what's her name?
Amy Coney Barrett.
Oh yeah, what a winner! My favorite meme was Amy Coney Barrett when it comes time to vote, and it was just her, but with a bull nose ring.
Yeah. Well, I know when and why this amendment was put into place, but it sure would be mean to say that it doesn't apply anymore. But we've said it before, and I will say it again, that is a textual interpretation. And it would have been great if the court had said, yes, this had its place. It doesn't have a place anymore, and it basically makes the Constitution into a national suicide pact.
Yep.
So we can't wish for an activist court sometimes and not other times.
Well, there's
you can, and that's kind of what I just did, but it's not very intellectually honest.
So,
but a lot of people would argue that it's better to have a nation than to be intellectually honest.
It's true. What is interesting is there's these active examples of Chinese should say, hey, there's a problem. But you got the left over there going, rules are rules. What are you going to do? Can't do anything about it. Wish we could, but can't.
Creativity and motivation to save the country, you could make that illegal. Yeah, sure. If you're born here, you get to be a citizen, but we're going to lock your parents up for the rest of their lives. What are you going to do? Rules are rules.
It is a weird time celebrating 250 years when everyone just seems so distant. Like even within the dissident right, which I think, we would probably fall among, at least myself, I'll say that for myself. There's so many different factions people are understanding that. They just want to continue to argue about Israel or an exploding microphone, just stuff that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of stuff.
We do what we can.
When they bust down the door and drag me to re-education camp, don't say I didn't warn you.
Well, if I've learned anything from a video that you sent me is that re-education camp would be a great place to meet new friends.
I couldn't sleep that night and I watched it. I'm like, this is good. Yeah, but apparently that's where ISIS was pretty founded. Was in
who knows?
Was an education prison.
You go to re-education camp. You might find yourself leading the nation of Syria. Next thing you know,
I don't hate that idea. I don't hate that
Speaking
idea.
of Syria, I have a clip from Syria.
Oh boy, so do I, but let's hear yours.
In Syria, multiple explosions took place in the Syrian capital of Damascus during a visit by French President Emmanuel Macron. Syria's Interior Ministry said at least 18 people were injured. CBS News foreign correspondent Chris Livesay has more about what we know right now.
President Emmanuel Macron had spent the night. At least 18 people were injured, including 4 police officers. Syrian state media says 2 explosive devices detonated had already left for the presidential palace, where he was meeting with Syria's new president. French officials say he was never in any danger and never even heard the blasts. The visit, they asked the leader to come to Syria since Bashar al-Assad was overthrown in 2024.
What about al-Julani? He's a Western leader.
France has been one of the strongest because President Ahmed al-Shara encouraged investment, support Syria's reconstruction, and press the country's new leaders to continue moving towards a more inclusive government. Back to you.
Chris Livesay, thank you. Meanwhile, President Macron released a statement earlier today, translated from French. It says in part, quote, "This morning I met Syria in all its diversity. I saw dignity, courage, and determination. My visit continues."
You have France, who was one of the first nations to, when the coast was clear, condemn Israel in Gaza. And then you have Trump saying, if Israel can't handle Lebanon correctly, maybe I'll get dealing with al-Julani, and these bombs go off.
So yeah, that wasn't lost on me.
Yes, and that's the only evidence I have for what I'm suggesting. But one, I wouldn't put it past any.
They were message bombs.
Yeah. Bombingram.
A boomogram.
Boomogram.
Yeah, they were a boomogram. We know where you stay, Macron. We know you're here. And just know that we can get to you anywhere. President of France, safe. You know what? I would love to go see an interview with al-Julani on the news and be like, have you ever made a black woman feel uncomfortable on a train? Have you ever worn a mask in public with a bunch of your friends? Situation. I don't know if you heard.
Yes, this is, I didn't pull a clip, but I loved to see this development because this is right out of an international intrigue novel.
Oh, yeah, it's got spy written all over it. What folder did I put that in? Oh, yes, the dirty Ukraine folder, of course. Here we go. So this is an update, not Morocco, but Monaco. There was a bombing last week. We're in that bombing.
The suspect, Anastasia Berezovska, had been identified on security cameras leaving to try and kill a former Ukrainian businessman who has got links to the Kremlin, known as Vadim Ermolayev, who lives in Monaco. They injured him, badly injured 2 others, a woman and a child with him. I think their condition, certainly the woman who was with him, fled Monaco into France by foot. There were then reported sightings of her near Frankfurt in Germany. She had been driving a German car, they reckon. They tracked a car with a German number plate driving through Germany and Italy to Monaco ahead of the
They tracked her.
bombing, and they think they were managing to track it back there. And then it all went quiet until this news that she has been found dead outside of Kyiv, the Ukrainian capital. Now, 2 people have been arrested by the Ukrainians in connection with this. One is described as a former law enforcement officer, and another a serving member of Ukraine's intelligence has stated that he did kill Anastasia Berezovska. A search of his house also found what's described as something like a torture chamber in the basement of his house, and also they've managed to track money as well that was being sent to Berezovska's cryptocurrency account, who they're questioning, and it looks as though they've got a lot of leads to go so on. And the hunt for the main suspect behind this bombing would appear to have met an end with her death, although it's not clear yet whether or not she was acting alone. There is a feeling that in order to have carried out something like this, she would have had to have been acting with accomplices, although there is apparently very little progress made on that front.
I don't understand that last sentiment. Obviously, she was working with the Ukrainian intelligence guy.
Yeah, and he's tying up loose ends.
Yeah, he did sense because he's the loose end. It was orchestrated by the Ukrainian government. And I will remind you, this is not the first time Ukraine has blown something up and denied it. But yeah, clearly we had said, oh, this guy is not looked favorable to Ukraine. And then we find out that this woman is Ukrainian, that she went back to Ukraine and she was killed by a Ukrainian intelligence officer. So,
by the way, our correct euphemism here is the, what was it? I wrote it down. It was the bangogram.
Bangogram?
Bangogram.
Okay. Media group. You hear about that title. I might make it into one of their videos.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ethical Capital Group?
Yes, of course.
Deep
They're
cuts.
the ones with the couch.
That's why you want to listen every week, folks. If you didn't pick that one up, it's because you didn't listen last week.
Right. You didn't listen.
That's right. Judgment came out from the German prosecutor this past week, too. So I will play this and then remind people about the media coverage that was going on at the time of this, which is have made a breakthrough.
Today we have the full charge sheet, and it is very interesting. In it, the Federal Prosecutor's Office lays out its case against Serhiy K, a Ukrainian national who was a member of the armed forces in Ukraine. And interestingly, the authorities say that the case here was prepared and executed on behalf of a public body in Germany has pointed the finger for the Nord Stream bombing at the Ukrainian government. The reason for that is Germany, as you say, is spending a lot of money to support the Ukrainian civil society, but also the Ukrainian military in its defence. And there are political parties here in Germany, the far-right Alternative for Germany, for example, which is critical of all aid to Ukraine. The charge sheet does give us some of those details. So Serhiy K, this 50-year-old Ukrainian military officer, is alleged to have entered Germany from Poland on a false passport and met up with a team of other military personnel in the Baltic coast of Germany. They've rented a yacht there, transported highly explosive military-grade explosives to the yacht, spent a number of days on the yacht circling the Nord Stream pipeline area in the Baltic Sea, and with highly competent divers planted those explosives and then left the country.
So, it was Ukraine, guys, which we told you 4 years ago.
Yes.
Now the German government has confirmed it, but I thought it would be fun to kind of venture back to the episode after the pipes bombing.
Tons of methane into the atmosphere. The U.S. calling this a deliberate act of sabotage, while NATO threatens to retaliate. Russian-born former U.S. Defense Intelligence Officer Rebecca Koffler. We've been debating this, Rebecca, all day yesterday on the show. Look, you wrote the book on Putin's playbook. You say that the U.S. government is correct. Players started the Russia hoax, so I'm always skeptical. But let's hear what you say.
Everybody.
Of course, I understand, Rachel, that U.S. government cannot be fully trusted these days 100%. But on this one, I actually have written an op-ed behind this. I'm 99% specifically for this situation. It has the capability, one of the few countries, to do it covertly. It has demonstrated intent that I described revenue-producing capability for them, because Nord Stream 2 never became operational because Germany refused to certify it as punishment for Putin, for which they claimed that sanctions prevented them from repairing the pipeline. So they had no use of it in the short term, and it presented an opportunity for them to conduct industrial sabotage just like they planned.
I couldn't help but remember all the people that were saying it's probably Russia. Morons. But all along.
From the get-go, there was no humming and hawing about how does this benefit? Hey, you remember how poor Seymour Hersh was drug across the coals for his reporting?
Yeah, didn't he say that it was
on an Italian boat, I think?
Yeah, it was an Italian boat. Yeah, people owe old Seymour Hersh an apology. I forgot because he was like the Vietnam War guy that everyone respected, and then everyone hated him when he said, "Yeah, that wasn't Russia." Traitor. Some of the Earth. Let's see. What do I have European-wise here? Oh,
I have an Iran clip.
Okay.
From Fox News, more Iran strikes today.
Oh, no.
Fox News alert, CENTCOM confirming that the U.S. military conducted a new series of powerful airstrikes on Iran for attacking commercial shipping. Let's go to Mark Meredith in Turkey. Mark?
Greg, good morning to you. The president is at his hotel for the evening. Is now after midnight, but the latest news we are getting is from U.S. Central Command that they are launching new strikes against Iran, basically in retaliation after Iran had launched 3 different attacks on ships that were transiting the Strait of Hormuz. Has been the center point for so much of what's happened since early February, where President Trump said it was imperative that ships would be allowed to move in and out of that area. I don't know whether or not these strikes are completed or if they are going to be ongoing. Iranian state media was reporting a series of explosions in southern Iran, but we'll be looking to get more development. The U.S. revoking a waiver it had just issued to give Iran 60 days to sell its oil. The White House pulling back that release earlier this evening. Greg?
You know, I've been doing some thinking about this whole Iraq thing. You know, in Washington, heavy on the right, obviously, the neocons span both, as does the Israel lobby. So people fall into both. And I, for one, believe the neocon faction, Marco Rubio, over the Israeli lobby. But this is part of the book. Well, it's not part of the book, but it is. This kind of facet is highlighted in the book. Again, the damn title of it escapes me every time. The Populist Delusion. We're done. If he were in power. And he knows he's not going to take away the tax advantages, you know, all those things he's saying with Hillary Clinton. And then he gets into office and he immediately gets absorbed by the elites that exist in Washington, the lobbies and the various groups that exist in Washington. And so that's part of the populist delusion where no one man can go in and change everything in Washington. He almost certainly, period, not almost, will get absorbed by the elite system that's already in place. And that's what we saw with Trump. In both Trump 1 and Trump's second term. So that we got into this war, both upsetting the neocons and the Israeli lobby of pulling out when he realized that it was a mistake. At least he doesn't have Nazi tattoos and running as a socialist in Maine.
While we're in that area, is our friend, what? No, it's not.
Well, still.
This is our friend. African package. This is our friend Troy Beverly with Pan African News. You'll recognize him. Becoming one of my favorite people on YouTube just because he is who he is and nothing else. This is him discussing a base being built in Somaliland.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Troy Beverly, and this is Pan African News. Somalia. UAE secretly. A report is likely building a military base near the Berbera International Airport in breakaway Somaliland. Excavation has been taking place in at least 3 locations south of the runway between October 2020 trenches, which a security source says is probably going to be used for ammunition storage facilities and fueled up. The clandestine construction from Somalia on December 26, 2025, a move that has been condemned by the global community. Somaliland, the UAE, Israel, and the United States have all remained silent on the development. The future base will no doubt serve as a forward operating post for Israel and the Gulf of Aden across from the Yemeni coast, where Houthi forces operate. The Houthis have threatened
that. Oh, we predicted that. We predicted that. Oh, we predicted that. We predicted that. Oh, we
control over the little boot heel where the Houthis are stationed.
Right. And I think you will see an uptick in the Houthi activity, shipping that's being rerouted through the Bab el-Mandeb. And I think this is going to be a touch point for a resurgence in Houthi. You'll likely get a resolution. Well, I don't know if you'll get a resolution in Hormuz, but you could get a resolution in Hormuz. Everybody's feeling great. It's a new era of good feelings. We fixed the problem. And then the Houthis have been gearing up this whole time.
The new neocon war. We're done with Iran. That'll go away. And then we got the Houthis thing now. We got to protect our allies, the UAE and Israel.
Well, it's Europe, Europe. The European imports are coming through the Bab el-Mandeb.
So the UAE and Israel are now BFFs. If we're co-building a base with them and the U.S., which I don't even know why we need a base because we're already in Somaliland, give them a launching off point to push back the Houthis. Interesting. Well, the Saudi Peninsula, like we told you, it's hot. It's hot right now. It's supposed to be a void, a vacuum where we're pulling out of, but evidently we're building bases with Muslims and Israelis alike.
Deal that Saudi Arabia is a part of, get control over Yemen to the best of their ability.
Make sure the Houthis don't step out of line.
Mm-hmm. With from Mali. No, yes, he was from Mali, but he was speaking on Mali and Burkina Faso. And he was making the allegation that the increase in Islamic terror attacks in Mali and Burkina Faso were due to French operatives operating in and supporting Islamic terrorists in the Sahel regions of these countries to attempt to destabilize unfriendly governments to France.
So, was it Burkina Faso where France was getting a lot of its uranium from? A lot of nuclear energy. Like, most of their energy comes pretty much where they were getting all their uranium from. So, it would be in their interest to secure a source of uranium. And I'm almost wondering if that's why the Kazakhstan play is so big right now for the EU and the trip.
It's due solely to energy and energy needs.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And this also plays into the data. They have no reason to develop energy-hungry infrastructure like data centers until they have their energy supply secured. So it gives the U.S. time to establish their Houthis and Russia to even get a basic amount of energy supply secured, much less an excess.
That's interesting. That casts a new light on the Iran war, too. Like, reasons for starting it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's unique. So, I mean, this is it's a hot button area right now. Turkey is in the news this week because the NATO summit is happening in Turkey. And the NATO summit is happening in Turkey because they knew that Trump would show up because he's friends of Erdogan. And as you know, Erdogan is a friend of the show. I'm going to start saying that from now on.
Well, it's just true.
It is true. He's a friend of the show. He doesn't want us to talk about it a lot, but he is a fan. So anyways, I pulled a couple of clips on Turkey, a couple of different segments here. One from the DW, one from another news source where they talk about Erdogan and Trump's relationship. But it's interesting because the DW, of course, is very European Union centric. They're pretty much a mouthpiece for Ursula von der Leyen out of Germany. Less so than Euronews, but there's really no solid reporting anywhere else, or there's no unbiased reporting out of Europe. It's all EU centric. So the DW, Phil Gale is on, and this woman is talking about the importance of Turkey to the EU, namely in its geolocation. So if you're not doing so already,
let me ask you to look again at a map.
This will be important. So here is the DW's report on the importance of Turkey.
Out here in the western Black Sea, this Turkish Navy ship is searching for a threat that's difficult to spot and potentially devastating. Sea mines. Laid during Russia's war against Ukraine, some have broken loose from their moorings, drifting into international shipping lanes.
You and your team
Rear Admiral Özgür Erkan and his crew are trying to find them before they can strike. The Black Sea is a vital trade route carrying grain, energy and other goods between Europe and Asia. Just one drifting mine can damage a cargo ship or disrupt shipping for days, he tells me.
This mission may be about searching for sea mines, but it reflects a much larger reality. The Black Sea has become one of Europe's most important security frontiers, and Turkey is right at the center of it.
It controls the Turkish Straits, the Bosphorus and the Dardanelles, the only maritime link between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Ankara invoked an international agreement, the Montreux Convention, limiting the passage of warships through the straits. Many analysts say that helped prevent the conflict from expanding further across the Black Sea.
Turkey plays a very critical role in controlling essentially Russia's freedom of action to operate not just in the Black Sea, but in the Mediterranean. Turkey has become more important in Allied perceptions for that reason, despite the fact that the political relationship between Ankara and many of its NATO partners has not been easy.
President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has been walking a diplomatic tightrope. Turkey supplied combat drones to Ukraine, but it also maintained close economic and political ties with Russia, often frustrating its NATO allies.
The Turks like to say that they are pro-Ukraine without being anti-Russia. That's a difficult balancing act. But at the end of the day, Turkey is part of NATO. It's an increasingly important member of NATO, as we were saying, and therefore that gives it a certain, not just standing, but a certain posture when it comes to dealing with Moscow.
Clearing mines won't end the war in Ukraine, but it shows how closely that war is tied to security in the Black Sea, and why Turkey's role inside NATO is likely to remain crucial long after the fighting stops.
Yeah, because it's the only trade route Europe has now. You know, they talk about the Black Sea, but they're never going to beat back Russia out of the Black Sea, so they need Turkey. The only reason Turkey is a part of NATO, and now they're being considered for EU membership potentially, is because it's like you pick the guy on the team so the other team can't have him. You know, they're on the EU team so they don't join the BRICS team, the bad team, the Russian team, and that's the only reason that we're associated with them. Plus, I mean, the real estate is just insane.
Insane.
Connects the East and the West, full access to the Black Sea, access to the Mediterranean. You can't beat Turkey. Plus Erdogan, you can't beat him either. Because if you do, he'll imprison you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, and now CNN ran a piece with Benjamin Netanyahu excoriating Turkey and basically trying to tell Trump and the American people why Turkey is this terrible entity and doesn't align with American values. and why they should support Israel instead of Turkey. Netanyahu is threatened by Turkey.
He is. They've got the largest military. I think they're a Muslim majority country, and they don't play the Israeli game. Period.
No, they don't.
And this is one of those interesting cases where Erdogan is the reason Turkey is doing as well it is today. Now, he might be considered a dictator by some, but he is the strong man that is keeping the people waving the European Union and the gay flags from completely ruining Turkey, turning it into an EU pro-Israeli state, like the rest of the EU.
A doormat.
Yeah, effectively a doormat to the EU. So, continuing on, I got a couple more clips. This is the second DW clip. This is Turkey East and West relationship, and this is with Phil Gale. You'll recognize him by his soothing voice.
Mm-hmm. And if we focus on Turkey for a moment, President Erdogan has made much of his determination not to pick a side in the Ukraine war. He provides military support to Ukraine and he buys weapons from Russia. How different is Turkey's view of Russia from its NATO allies?
Turkey really is the odd man out within NATO when it comes to its relationship with Russia, and that has been the case ever since Turkey joined. It was always a little bit of the odd man out within the alliance, but the other members decided that it was better to have Turkey inside the alliance than outside.
Bingo.
And I think that assessment really has turned out to be a wise one. It has been useful for NATO to have Turkey inside the alliance, and it is useful to this day because now we'll have the NATO summit in Ankara, and I think of all the NATO member states that could have hosted this particular summit, Turkey is the one that's the best place to do it because President Erdogan is a leader that President Trump respects, and he wouldn't want to spoil Erdogan's party.
Right. So NATO allies, they regard Turkey as being what, a useful link to Putin rather than a chink in NATO's armour?
I don't think primarily useful link to Putin because it is very difficult to get through to Putin in any way or to influence his thinking in any way. But Turkey is a major military power, and it's especially a major military power in its part of the world, which is a part of the world where NATO is not otherwise strongly represented. So it is a great military ally with professional and distinguished armed forces. And again, somebody like President Erdogan can be annoying. Sometimes he blocked Sweden's accession to NATO for a long time, even though Sweden was a perfectly qualified candidate. On balance, it is useful to have that military ally in that part of the world.
Yeah, it was because Sweden was housing terrorist groups, Kurdish-based terrorist groups, which were causing trouble in Turkey's eastern side for a many long time.
As we explained well before Turkey consented to their ascension into the group.
Agreed. Oh, you see the additional detail you get? And it's not hard. Like, it's the news is the way it is because they present the information and they rely on you being lazy and not looking into it. You do a simple Google search and that becomes apparent.
Yes, you can tell that it's propaganda because of the way it is.
That's right. Nietzsche. So Erdogan and Trump, they talk about their relationship a little bit right here. And then I'm going to play one of the reasons why Turkey is a bad boy.
Just 2 years ago, it doesn't seem that long ago, but Erdogan was the black sheep at NATO. How much clout now does Turkey have within the alliance?
Yes, I mean, a lot has changed. If you look back to 2024, when he was the holdout resisting Sweden's ascension into NATO, it really feels like we're in a different world. And I would say that for Rutte, the Secretary General, it's a good thing that it's Turkey's turn to be hosting NATO this year. If it'd been anywhere else, like, say, Italy, I doubt Trump would be showing up. So Turkey is in a very interesting position, obviously geographically and strategically, because it can use its clout both in the situation in the Middle East, given its relationships and its placement there. It's notable that the Syrian leader is going to be attending, and that's going to be something also that Trump will be very interested in. And also, I mean, it's one of the few militaries that actually has kept spending, right? It did not need to be told off to be spending more. It's the second biggest military in the NATO alliance after the US. And the main thing for Erdogan is that he's hoping his diplomacy yields to something. He's hoping that the Americans will lift their ban on the F-35s. And Trump has indicated that he's willing to give Erdogan a little present. So let's see if that happens here in Ankara.
Yes. So we've got that, very strategic, kind of similar to the last clip. Finally, here's one of the reasons why, the Turkey is viewed as this just hostile nation that is incompatible with the EU and the bad boy of NATO.
This ship, known as the Scarlet Lady, caters to LGBTQ passengers. It departed from Athens for a Mediterranean tour, but there are 2 planned ports of call that it won't be making. Turkish officials have banned the ship from docking in the country's ports, citing moral standards. That's according to the CEO of the events company that organized the voyage.
How do you feel about the fact that this country has said no to you? That is so shocking, no?
Yes, it is. And the one way I can put it is, the LGBTQ plus community is very resilient. We just came out of Pride Month, where we recognize the Stonewall riots and standing up for ourselves, where we recognize coming out of the AIDS epidemic, where we recognize that we won the fight for marriage equality. So we're resilient people. We can bounce back from a whole lot. However, I will say, I will not forget that Turkey and its country decided to turn us away. As I'm sure there hasn't been an official Pride event in Turkey since 2015, ever since the Erdogan administration began. And he has not been a friend to the LGBTQ plus community. So it's not much of a surprise, but things change, and we just keep soldiering on.
CNN has reached out to the Turkish Ministry of Culture and Tourism, the Turkish Embassy in Washington, and Virgin Voyages for comment.
Türkiye'yi çok seviyorum. Yes, well, Erdogan, I hope you know this gay fellow won't forget.
He's not going to forget. Ooh. What are you going to do? Come over here with your assless chaps and paddle and spank me? I just thought that was funny. Like, oh yeah, Turkey. They're so obtuse. They won't let us dock at their ports. That's why they can't be in the EU. It's a clown world out there. It really is kind of funny. I'm trying to think if I have.
It's not entirely a clown world, but there are clowns in it.
That's true. So I'm thinking maybe we should thank some people because it looks like we might be a little short on clips.
Oh no,
Millennial Media.
Offensive.
I was looking at the folders.
I have quite a bit for the second half, actually.
Okay, perfect, awesome.
But it is all second half of material.
Yes, that is important to have second half material. But you are riding along on the offensive every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. John and I hop on the internet. We go to stream.mmo.show, and we tell you what's going on in the world. We give you our thoughts, our opinions, and just let you know what we think is going on, what's happening, and we have fun with it. We don't take it too seriously. We don't try
Can't you tell?
We don't try to dock a gay boat at your moral standard port. We just try to have a good time and inform you. So that being said, we don't have advertisers. We don't take any sort of we don't make you subscribe to any subscriptions. Instead, we just rely on value returned back to us. It can come in many ways. Come in art, information, donations, just general commentary. Hey, I like the show. I didn't like this part. I didn't like that you said this word. We're not going to stop saying that word, but at least we'll know. We'll know so-and-so didn't like that. So yeah, but we always like to thank the person that provided the art for the first, as the first person we thank for the previous episode. In episode 225, which was titled De-Legalization, the art was provided to us by Wolf. And it is the Supreme Court, I imagine, writing laws or writing their opinions in crayon.
Yes, implying a childish decision. And for whatever reason, Jen Psaki's on the court.
Is that Jen Psaki? I thought that was supposed to be a riff on, I forget her name. The Wait For It. The one that literally wrote Wait For It in her dissertation. ...
Oh.
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yeah, no, she's black.
I guess you're right. That is a white face.
I was waiting for something a little more consequential than I guess you're right, but I'll take it.
I zoomed in. That is a white nose underneath that red hair. It's kind of funny. It just kind of pops out at you a little weird. Yeah, these judges, I don't know who these judges are. They don't really match the judges that you think of, but, you know, I do like the take on, who's the black fella?
Clarence Thomas?
Yeah, I like the take on Clarence Thomas.
It's Clarence Thomas. He's black, but he writes with a white hand.
He writes with a white hand, and he looks like 1990s Denzel Washington.
Yes, he does.
Very much
Yes.
the Clarence Thomas.
He's a man on fire.
That's right. Love it. So thank you very much, Wolf. We don't have any art for tonight, so if you got some ideas, feel free to send them in. Operators are standing by to judge you accordingly.
And harshly.
So we did get some fiat donations, and starting off at the top of the list comes a man who earned himself an executive producer credit, goes by the name of Berlin, and for America's birthday, he came in through PayPal with $250, and he says, happy semi-quincentennial, OTO, Berlin.
On the offensive.
Yes, that's right.
I like that.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Berlin. It
Thank
means
you,
a
sir.
lot.
We'll see you at the quincentennial. 250 years from now. Thank you. That's huge, and we appreciate it, and it's good to have friends all over the world. Up next is Eli the Coffee Guy. He came in through PayPal with $33.33, and he says, feminists may fight for the phallocracy, but it's our duty as millennials to fight the gerontocracy. They don't fight for the phallocracy. They fight against the phallocracy. They fight the phallocracy. It is our duty as millennials to fight the gerontocracy. Whether old lady face Mitch McConnell is breathing or not, isn't it about time we end people's 40-plus careers sucking on the taxpayers' teat? Thanks for the great news with a great perspective, gentlemen. Keep up the great work, and for those that want some great coffee, visit gigawattcoffeeroasters.com and use code OTO20 for 20% off your order. Stay caffeinated and stay on the offensive.
On the offensive.
Eli the Coffee Guy. Much appreciated.
Yes, but he's so effective at press conferences.
Mitch McConnell, when he's not freezing up. Ooh. When he's not seeing his life flash before his eyes. No, I agree. I do think we need to fight the gerontocracy and get some of these old people out. Gigawatt Coffee, though, on the other hand, I recently got my wife on espresso, too. So I hate that I'm about to say this, but my puck prep has just doubled in time.
Or what?
Puck prep? It's how you prep the coffee in your espresso spoon. You gotta air it up and tamp it down. It's a whole art. Thank you very much, Eli. I appreciate it. I openly admit it's the most Italian and gayest thing about me all at once. So, thank you very much. Sharky Shark comes in through PayPal with $20.01. No note. That's his monthly recurring. Of course, he's our day one fish. Thank you, sir. Emily the Fed came in through PayPal with $11. No doubt. That's her monthly recurring. Thank you, ma'am. And because you are indeed not a Fed, we have to always give you one of these. Oh, I thought I'd find it before I reached the end of that sentence.
Give her something.
I'm a millennial. It should be on this board. Oh, here we go.
You are not a Fed.
Stereo, not a Fed. I was looking for You Are Not a Fed, and it's just the button is not a Fed. So thank you, Emily the Fed. Nailord Gaylord came in through Venmo with $5 and says, N-log here, OTO. To which we say,
On the offensive.
My word.
love the show. Like the vibe your pod gives out. Take a look at a map.
Let me ask you to look again at a map.
Thank you, sir. My board is on the fritz here, apparently. Prictor Weirdo of the Not So Flatlands comes into the Cash App with $3.33 and says OTO.
On the offensive.
Finally, another Praetor Pareka of the Peoria Diocese, a.k.a. Hempress Emily M. on the road to El Dorado, comes in through PayPal with $3.24 and says OTO Bichachos.
On the offensive.
That made me giggle when I saw that. OTO Bichachos.
Whoa, it made you jiggle.
I was jiggling all about. I was like J.D. Vance at a furniture store. Okay, that does it for our fiat donations. Good showing tonight. Appreciate it from everybody.
Yes, and we also had some people that sent Bitcoin boosts. For example, Bullysteed sent 3,333 Satoshis through Fountain and said, nothing says PSYOP on the train like coordinated costumes. It's downright laughable. Think FBI. Remain on the offensive. Hashtag OTO. Hashtag MMO.
On the offensive.
Is she calling Patriot Front feds? I've never heard that before. Just kidding.
Bullysteed, I want to know what you think about the speech at the mall. And I want to know what is it? Let's assume they are funded by FBI, any organization. They're a front. Let's assume they're a narrative device. What does it achieve for those funding them? I'd like to know what you think about that.
Race war.
Nostragang comes in with 101 Satoshis and says, colloquialism.
Colloquialism. I love that.
Colloquialism.
Yeah, I slaughtered that word last week, colloquialism, and another one. And I can't remember what it was. You called it out after the show. But I've been known to do that from time to time.
Colloquialism. Okay. Thank you very much, Nostragang. Eric PP has streamed 4,714 Satoshis so far listening tonight. And we appreciate all of you who send fiat donations, all of you who send Bitcoin donations, all of you who send information and links to stories and videos. It's very helpful. It keeps us engaged throughout the week. All of you who send artwork and just your feedback or your boots on the ground reporting about things that we may be interested in or have talked about. Everything that you find valuable will contribute to the show. We will put that value into the show and then return it to you the next week. We call it the value feedback loop, and it doesn't work without you. It doesn't work without us. We are equal partners in this, and we appreciate your partnership.
And speaking of partnership, while you're going on that, we just got another payment that came in through Cash App from Dug It Up, 2222, Row of Ducks. And he says, thanks for reminding us what's important. And we say de nada, Senor de nada, indeed. Thank you very much to all on the offensive and to all that are throwing that value right back at us.
Get it on!
I had a feeling to just check my email for whatever reason and dug it up. He said, yeah, it's in there. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good then. Let's do this right to fix folders to start. There was some reporting about a diesel mechanic who was pardoned by President Trump after being indicted on charges under EPA regulations. And what he was doing was removing the clean air standard device from vehicles. So these clean air standard devices wouldn't allow the vehicles to run unless the diesel met a certain standard. And he was removing these, he and others were removing these from vehicles, and they were prosecuted by under the EPA's regulations. And Trump pardoned them and now is touting this right to fix executive order instructing the EPA to do something. And I found this clip from L1 Automotive explaining that this may not be exactly what everyone is saying it is. So I pulled this one clip. I think this will be explanation enough. And if you want to look further into it, I'll have this video linked.
Last parts are the most important part. So individual freedom to fix. The administration of the EPA shall consider, not actually do it, but they must consider this, deprioritizing civil tampering enforcement actions against anyone who, in good faith, attempts to fix his or her own vehicle, and here's the biggest part of it all, to its original configuration, which means no, you are not allowed to delete your diesel because that changes the configuration. This executive order would have done absolutely not restore it to its original configuration. So what was said about people are being arrested for fixing their own car, not true. Can't find a single case.
Can't find a...
Now, he posted a follow-up video that I have not been able to watch yet. So he may have been given some examples of some of these other people that were prosecuted. But the fact that I wanted to point out is that this does not allow you.
So what is a clean air standard device? Do you know?
That's not the name for them. It's the... Hold on. I think it's a device that makes sure you have DEF in your diesel, more or less. Let's see.
We're seeing, we're Googling.
This guy, I believe, was from
basically checking
emission control equipment, defeat devices from diesel pickup trucks. Hardware that bypasses federally required anti-pollution systems and suppresses diagnostic warnings, often installed via delete kits.
You mean like what Volkswagen was doing, where the computer was just publishing random data that showed the car passing emission test?
Yes, that is the system they were using.
Pure German efficiency. This won't pass the emissions test. Well, it will if it just reports gibberish. Part of me loves Volkswagen for that.
Yeah, I can't hate it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move with everyone out there. Let's talk about this parasite that's going around. This is cyclopsoriasis.
Spreading and what to know about the symptoms. Joining us with more, including how to protect ourselves, is ABC News medical correspondent Dr. Darian Sutton. Great to see you. Okay, so break this down for us.
Yeah.
Where is the outbreak and is it really serious?
This can be quite serious, especially for those who are higher risk. So, Stephanie, this is an ongoing parasitic outbreak of an infection called cyclopsoriasis. We typically see this in the United States, and it has been tracked since 2019. But what makes this year different is that the numbers are trending higher than what we typically see. So far, the CDC has documented between May and mid-June at least 145 cases, nearly 20 hospitalizations, and in certain states we're seeing dramatic rises. Now, the main complication of this type of infection, it looks often like severe food poisoning, nausea, vomiting. That leads to complications like kidney injury, low blood pressure, and even hospitalizations. Now, in certain states like Michigan, they're at 6 times the number that emergency room or get tested.
This whole thing troubles me so much, and at the moment you sat down, the first thing I said was like, okay, so where
where do you get this? What do you do? How do you
risk? But often the food poisoning, not just separating your meats, but also washing the produce before you eat it. That can help to reduce your risk. Grabbing a scrub brush can also be helpful. And an important note here, this type of bacteria, this type of parasite doesn't easily go away with alcohol-based hand sanitizer. So good old hand washing is really key here.
Okay, so you mentioned produce, and like you said earlier, don't tell the kids, because then they'll really want to avoid the broccoli and vegetables.
Unaware, during the show, I was cold, which isn't unusual. I live in a split level, so the temperature gradient downstairs, in order to keep the upstairs below like 80, we got to turn the air conditioner on a little higher, and the cold air sinks where I am in the basement. And so I was chilly, and I just kind of diagnosed it as that was that. But after I got done with the show, I couldn't stop shivering last Tuesday, and I actually called in sick, which I never do, to work on Wednesday, just because I couldn't stop shivering. The symptoms are explosive diarrhea, which I did not have. In fact, I had the opposite of that. Yeah, pretty much. I couldn't do anything. It's like usually when I'm feeling like that, I know something's got to give, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get anything to give. So I just shivered it out.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
I have a local report from Illinois, which may have a show title contender in it.
Okay.
Health officials investigating a parasitic outbreak, and this is a gross out alert linked to severe diarrhea. Cases of the gastrointestinal illness is caused by a parasite that spreads through contaminated food. And get this, the CDC says 145 cases have been reported across 17 states, including Illinois and Wisconsin. Joining me to talk about what to watch out for is Dr. Jeremy Smiley with Endeavor Health. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. So as we approach the 4th of July holiday weekend, a lot of us are going to be, attending barbecues and things of that nature. We're going to be eating out. So talk about what this parasite is and how we can avoid it.
Yeah, contaminated fresh produce, things like berries, leafy greens, cilantro, and especially as we head into the 4th of July weekend, don't rely on the typical veggie rinses or sprays that you might get, but a good scrub friction will help prevent you from getting this.
Veggie sprays?
Yeah, I've never heard of these veggie sprays.
I think that he just means like spraying it off with the sick.
I don't know. I've never heard of these, and I didn't look into what they were. Apparently, that's something people do. People also supposedly, because I already have such little faith in humanity.
You know what is great is my grates on my grill, kind of the ones that it came with were crapped out of me, and I got some cast iron ones. And as opposed to like 3 grates, I got 2 grates and like a hot plate. And I like to cut a little fat off of a steak and put it on that hot plate. And then use the hot plate to sear it with that steak fat. And it's amazing. But I'm wondering, because last week, so Elise will bring me some food when we eat. It's usually our dinner. Whenever she makes it, she'll bring it down. I think you've caught me a few times eating.
I have. And so has everyone watching the live stream.
That's correct. And there was a side salad last week, and now I'm really starting to wonder about that side salad, if that's what got me.
It could be.
I could have had the...
It could be.
Could have had the Cyclops disease.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think the last clip that I have is a pretty good one to end on. Do you have anything else you want to cover tonight?
The only thing that I had was going back to Europe, and it was, but I did find it interesting is that they were highlighting that the parties are really popular in Eastern Germany. They made a distinction to say Eastern Germany, and they want to forge closer ties with Russia. And I went back and I looked at kind of why they would be marketing it that way. It's popular in Eastern Germany, and they want closer ties with Russia, and that's why the people on the East are more aligned with Russia. But also, when you talk about the rise of the Nazi Party, so that's all the marketing around the ADF is, we haven't seen this kind of right-wing party rise since the Nazi Party. They're trying to paint this idea that the ADF is the Fourth Reich, pretty much. And we need to be wary of World War III and the rise of the right in Germany that wants to form a bond with Russia, probably to split up Poland, if I had to guess. Really popular in Eastern Germany, and they really, really want to have better relations with Russia, which is just like a double sin if you're a subscriber of. Okay, what do you got?
It's good. Yes, it's good to note the way these things are talked about.
Well,
my last clip is. Oh, you had more?
I was just gonna say we've talked about the fourth turning a lot, and this is kind of like the left-wing version of the fourth turning of it's been about 100 years, and people that are conservative are rising up in Germany and wanting to befriend Russia.
Mm-hmm.
All hallmarks of Nazi Germany. Amplify that.
But of course.
Yeah. All right, take it away.
We mustn't forget.
That's right.
Okay, my last clip is a clip about entrepreneurship. And there is a new flipping people's skirts.
Oh, boy. I think I know what this is.
Come up from a lot of struggling. Even if it does make a few people mad, that's not going to stop me.
Owner Melissa Borrett of Lubbock Fantasy Maid Service says she wasn't making enough household chores. Borrett says people have been criticizing her business, saying she isn't following the proper legal steps needed to operate a sexually oriented business.
I am confident that my business does not fit those criteria.
Sexually oriented businesses are defined as providing, featuring, or offering entertainment while nude, intended to gratify customers on a sexual level. But Borrett says that's not how she's running her business.
It's more than just taking your clothes off. It's also got to do with performing for sexual gratification, which we do not. We're a maid service.
Other local maid services, such as Tidy Lady Cleaning, owned by Brooke Navarez, say Borrett's shining a negative light on the business.
I'm totally against it. I think these girls are finding an easy way to run a prostitution ring, if you ask me. Whoa! I don't understand how they're getting away with it.
Tell us how you really feel.
Exactly. We found this old fat lady that these things, like what guy?
Well, it's the nude beach phenomena. Yeah. You think nude beach, you think, oh boy, that'll be fun, and then you go to the nude beach and you see the kind of people that it attracts, and you're like, wow, hey, this is
maybe we shouldn't,
I think I've had all of the nude beach I need.
Yeah.
But this is the same thing. Like the girls featured at your city, you're not gonna get the beauty queens of the local town working at the peep show. It's these kind of things don't attract the best, and it also doesn't attract the best as clients, I'm sure.
Hold on, I gotta see some of these maids.
Put a marker down for an opening right there.
Yeah. Oh. Oh boy. This one's pregnant. Yeah, I don't know who actually wants this. I know there's guys out there that would want to do something like this. Would be like a funny thing. Like you get your buddy's recently single and you're like, hey, don't worry, I hired a maid to clean up your bachelor pad. She comes over.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Misty. I'm here to wipe your microwave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, she's got a business. Yeah, I went to a strip club one time in my life, and it was in central Illinois. Highly don't recommend. I'm sure there are better strip clubs to go to, but not in central Illinois. I'm not a strip club guy at all. I don't know about you, John. We'll leave that as a secret.
Sure. The more mystery, the better.
Welcome to the stage, Misty. It's literally my living room. You know, it would be a travesty if it is a nude maid service, but they do a bad job cleaning. Like they think the product is the fact that they're naked. But, you know, I mean, imagine a deal where you get a woman and she cleans your house better than anyone else's. The only catch is she happens to be a part of this naked maid service. I wonder if you could be like, could I negotiate a lower rate, keep your clothes on, and you just clean my house?
That would be a hilarious prank call to this business. Trying to negotiate getting the maids to come close.
I just want an actual cleaning service. I understand that everyone here is ex-strippers and or pregnant, but I just don't want my house cleaned. Serpent's saying you have to pay more.
Now there's your business model.
That's funny. just clothed models. That's too good. Well, as always, we started strong, we ended strong, and naked. Man, if their tagline isn't, you know, get dirty when you get clean. I know that there's places that, NetNet posted one, where it's like drive-through, and the women are scantily clad as they make your coffee.
Yeah.
Men are sad creatures, sometimes.
Our sadness has created this world, though.
An industry created by loneliness. All these girls have tattoos.
What an observation.
From St. Louis, Missouri, I have been Dan Gehring.
And from America's South Coast, where I appreciate some tattoos, I've been John G. Dew.
Yep, and we're going to clear our browser history and see you next Tuesday, of course. And until then, acquire a gun, make sure you're good at it. If the naked maid comes over, lock it up. You don't want to see...
He means the gun.
That's right. That's right. That's all I have to say. MMO, out. Oh, too good. Too good indeed.
Let's produce this thing so I can go have some birthday cake.
Okay. Is it your birthday?
No.
Good. When's your birthday? November.
December.
I was close. I was a month off. Is it your wife's birthday?
Nope.
It's not your daughter's birthday, is it?
No.
Okay.
We are actively spending time away from said birthday, though.
Gotcha. Okay. Cornpewder is Cornpewder. Cornpewder. Didn't say it during the show, but I like that. Hey, it's a dead squirrel. Demon saturation. Father casting. Baby's dog and cornpewder. Have more guns and kids. Boomagram, bangagram, colloquial tism, explosive podcasting, veggie spray, and good scrub friction. Hey, that could be a part of both of the last segments. The clean vegetables and the maids.
Yeah, good scrub session. Yeah, you're right. What about art? Do we have any art that will conflict with anything? Do we have any art at all?
I don't know. I closed my email
We had some
tab
good
again.
concepts tonight. I'm going to be disappointed if we don't have any art.
I'm willing to bet you that Wolf is about to hop on and say, I'm working on art, and then he's going to send us a Patriot front piece. But we don't have any art. Jeez. So NetNed posted a business that has a coffee, like one of those coffee shops near his house.
Yeah.
And all I can wonder is, where are these girls' fathers? Obviously not doing a podcast. Net says buying coffee. All right, Wolf is saying he sent some art. Ooh. This one's fun. It is a woman scrubbing vegetables in the sink. Not unclothed, but scantily clothed.
I like it.
I like it too.
All I got. I like it.
I like it. Thank you, Wolf. We appreciate
I don't
that.
think we use a good scrubbing.
No, anything but good scrub friction.
The title that I had in mind from the clip was Gross Out Alert, I think is what it was. You remember that one? Remember hearing that one?
No.
But I don't know if that's a good title.
What
about what was the Boomagram?
Boomagram and Bangagramma. Oh, Bangagram. It's not your grandma's birthday, is it?
No.
Okay, good. Have more guns than kids. Babies, dogs, cornputer. Cornputer. Oh. Why does cornputer tickle me so much?
I have no idea.
This here cornputer.